A lot of religions don't agree on everything, but most of them do talk about a being called Lucifer, the angel of light. They say he wasn't just powerful. He was musical, a being made of sound. And when he was cast down to earth, that gift didn't leave him. So if the one who once controlled music is now here with us, is it really that crazy to think he might still be using it? I'm not some religious guy. I don't go to church, I don't pray much. But what I saw during one of Kanye's sessions, I still can't explain it. That night, I realized something. Some of these songs, they're not just beats and lyrics, they're portals. And whatever they're calling through, it's not human. Do you think certain songs carry energy that can open doors to something dark? I want to hear what you believe. Tell me in the comments. If you're still with me, it means you've heard enough to question it. Like, comment, and subscribe. We've got more stories they don't want you to hear. There's a sound I still can't forget. Not a scream, not a beat. Just this low, pulsing tone, like a wire stretched too far and ready to snap. That's how the night began. Not with music, but with pressure. The air inside the studio felt off the moment I stepped in. It wasn't the usual late night vibe. It felt buried, sunken, like I wasn't in a room, but beneath something heavy. The cold didn't feel like air conditioning. It felt old, like the walls were holding in something they didn't want to release. And yet it was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that listens. He was already there when I arrived. Sitting inside the booth, hood over his head, completely still, except for a slow rocking motion, like he was meditating or praying. He didn't acknowledge me, and I didn't say a word. I didn't feel like I was supposed to. It wasn't that I was starstruck. It was something else. Something that made me feel like I was the intruder. I took my seat and turned on the system. The monitor glitched for a moment and flickered before settling. But I noticed the timestamp lock to exactly 300 a.m. I didn't think much of it until later, when everything else started to make sense or lose it completely. The session file he left was unnamed. There were no labeled tracks, no beat stems, just a strange, raw loop that loaded by itself. At first, I couldn't tell what I was hearing. It wasn't melody or vocals or even noise. It was something in between. Something dry and low, almost like wood splitting in slow motion. It made my skin crawl. But he just sat there, still rocking, still silent, like the sound was familiar to him, comforting even. Then he moved, slowly, but not like he was dancing or performing. More like something was guiding him from underneath his skin. His hands lifted, slowly, his fingers twitching like they were catching static, his head tilted back. I remember the expression on his face. It wasn't anger or joy or pain. It was grief, deep grief, like something inside him had been shattered open, and he wasn't the one controlling when it would close. And then came the layering, more tones creeping into the loop. Dissonant, uneasy, unnatural. These weren't harmonies. These were arrangements that didn't feel man-made. Notes that didn't follow any scale I'd ever seen on a screen. Patterns that felt like they were imitating prayer. But not the kind you say out loud. It wasn't music anymore. It was a message. That's when the fear started creeping in. Not panic, something slower. The realization that I wasn't witnessing a studio session. I was standing in the middle of a ritual, and I don't say that lightly. I've sat through hundreds of sessions, wild ones, emotional ones, high energy ones, but this wasn't about laying a track. This was worship, but not to anything holy. There was a moment, just one, where I felt like the room wasn't just holding sound, but listening to it. Something in the corners, something behind the walls. I looked at the screen and saw that the mic wasn't even recording. No red light, no arm track. The system wasn't being used to capture anything. It was just open. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about the music at all. It was about what the music let in. I should have walked out. Every part of me knew that. But I didn't. Maybe it was fear, maybe it was denial. But something kept me there, frozen, half, hoping that what I was seeing had a logical explanation. It didn't. The sounds coming through the speakers had shifted again. They were no longer rough layers or static rhythms. They had evolved into something more structured, but still completely foreign. At one point, I thought I heard a voice embedded inside them. Not his. Not human. Just a faint, rasping whisper, buried beneath everything else, rising and falling in ways that felt deliberate. It didn't sound like it was meant to be heard, but it was there. I didn't understand the words, but I felt the intent. I felt watched. Judged. The room got colder. The kind of cold that doesn't touch your skin. It goes straight into your bones. I kept looking through the glass at him, and it hit me that I wasn't seeing a man work on a track. I was watching a vessel being used. His body was there, but something else was taking control. It was subtle until it wasn't. He stood up, eyes still closed, and began to chant. No melody, just a rhythm, as if the words were more important than any beat. His voice sounded deeper, layered, like there was more than one voice speaking at once. I didn't recognize the language. It didn't feel earthly. He wasn't reading from anything either. It was pouring out of him, unrehearsed, raw, ritualistic. And that's when I realized this had happened before. This wasn't some spur of the moment artistic breakdown. This was practiced. This was deliberate. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he didn't care that I was there. Or maybe he wanted me there. I looked over at the control board and noticed the frequency monitor. Something was showing up across the spectrum that shouldn't have been there. Waves pulsing at a pattern that didn't match the sound being played. I've seen distorted files before. Corrupted data, all of it. This wasn't that. This was intelligent. It responded to his voice. Every word he said made the frequency jump or curve in a new direction, and then it started syncing with my breathing. I'm not exaggerating. I'd inhale, and the lines on the screen would stretch upward in perfect sync. Exhale, and they'd dip. My body was being linked to the sound. I felt tethered to the session. I felt owned. That was when the lights above flickered. Just once, but hard enough for the bulbs to make a sound. He didn't react. His chant deepened. Then he opened his eyes and stared right at me. I'll never forget that moment. His face was calm, but the eyes were empty, like he was looking through me. And I swear, for a second, I saw something behind him in the reflection of the glass. Just a silhouette. Tall, thin, with arms longer than they should have been. Gone in a blink. I started shaking. My stomach turned so violently I thought I'd throw up on the console. I still didn't move. The air around me had thickened, not with smoke or heat, but something worse, intention. That studio had become a place of invitation. The music, or whatever it was, had become a key, and someone had turned it. He broke the chant without warning, just silence. I thought it was over. But then he smiled, not a happy smile, not even a proud one. It was the smile of someone who had accomplished something terrible and wasn't sure if he regretted it yet. He walked out without saying a word, left everything running. I sat there for minutes, maybe more, unsure if I was supposed to turn it off or if I even could. When I finally did, the file closed by itself. No prompt, no crash, just gone. The system froze. And when I rebooted it the next day, the file was no longer in the folder. No backups, no history. As if the whole thing had been erased, not digitally, but spiritually. I didn't sleep the night after that session. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd hear it. Not just the chant, worse than that. I'd hear my own breathing syncing with it. Like something had taken root in my lungs, in my chest, and was learning how to mimic me. When I sat still, I could feel the vibration from that studio, the frequency that never fully stopped. It was still inside me, and I began to notice silence wasn't really silence anymore. It had a pulse. It watched me. Every corner of my apartment started feeling wrong. Too deep, too dark, too quiet. But not the kind of quiet that brings peace. The kind that feels expectant, like it's holding its breath, waiting for you to say the wrong thing. My bathroom mirror fogged, even when I hadn't used hot water. My bedroom light flickered in threes, never twos or fours, always threes. Once I walked into my living room at exactly 3:07 a.m. and caught my reflection blinking after I'd stopped. I turned everything off. No music, no background noise. But the chanting found its way through, soft at first, like a radio station just outside range, then louder when I ignored it. I put my fingers in my ears, thinking I was going crazy. I whispered, "Please just stop." That's when the TV, completely unplugged, turned itself on. The screen stayed black, but the speakers pushed out static in that same rhythm. And I swear, through the static, I heard one word: play. I called someone I trusted in the industry. Didn't tell him it was Kanye. Just asked, "You ever see an artist go into a trance while recording?" He went silent. Then he asked one thing: "What time was it?" I didn't answer, but I didn't have to. He said, "They say 3 a.m. is when the veil's at its thinnest. You heard it, didn't you? You weren't supposed to." Then he hung up, just like that. And I can't stop thinking about it. I've been asking myself something every night since. Do you think some music is meant to be heard only by what's on the other side? I don't know anymore. I don't know what I listened to. I just know it didn't feel like a song. It felt like an offering. 3 days later, I had a dream. Or at least, I think it was a dream. I was back in that studio. But everything was darker. The monitors were blank. The boards were dead. The booth was lit only by one dim red bulb that throbbed in rhythm with my heartbeat. And Kanye, or whatever wore Kanye, stood inside, not moving, head down, chanting something wet and guttural, like vocal cords soaked in oil. Behind him was that figure again, now clearer, taller than any man, arms almost scraping the glass, its head twitching in slow spirals like it didn't fully understand how to exist here. It tilted toward the mic, and the moment it spoke, I woke up. Except I woke up to my speaker playing. Volume up. No app open. Just a distorted loop of what I'd heard in the dream. The chant. That same chant. Wordless. But it meant something. And the room, it didn't feel empty anymore. The smell was the worst part, like burnt copper and wet dirt. A smell that doesn't belong in apartments. Or in this world. I checked every corner. Nothing. No source. But I felt it. I swear to you, I felt something breathe against my ear when I turned around. And all I could do was sit there, sweating, trembling, asking myself over and over, what the hell kind of studio session opens a door that doesn't close? And if that door was cracked open, who else walked through with us? I keep asking myself, and all who care to listen and give their opinion. Because I need to know I'm not the only one who's seen behind the curtain and regretted it. I started keeping track of the songs that made me feel the shift. They weren't all from him, but they had the same echo in them. The same uneasy layer underneath the beat, like a voice pressed into the sound waves just low enough to go unnoticed. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. It doesn't leave your head. It leaves something else there instead. And I need to ask you this. If you knew there was a song that could summon something, would you still listen to it? Would you still dance to it, sing to it, let it in your ears and into your soul? Or would you press stop before it's too late? Because now I'm not sure pressing stop does anything at all. I kept telling myself I could shake it off. That if I stayed away from the studio, stayed away from the music, it would fade. But it didn't. It only got stronger. By the fourth night, it wasn't just sounds I was hearing, it was instructions. Like something had begun whispering in a language I didn't understand, yet still obeyed. I caught myself writing things down I didn't remember learning. Musical notations and sequences I couldn't explain, lyrics scribbled on scraps of paper in a language that looked like English, but wasn't. They always started with the same 3 words: he still sings. Sometimes I'd wake up with them on my palms, written in pen, even though I don't own any black pens. I stopped listening to music altogether, but it made no difference. The melody was inside me, not like a memory, like a resident. There were moments when I'd blink and lose time. I'd check my voice recorder app, and find distorted audio files labeled with timestamps I didn't remember recording. One of them was just breathing. Not mine, deeper layered, guttural. Another had a voice saying my name in a tone that sounded fond. It made my skin crawl. I tried deleting them, but they'd reappear, renamed, glitched. One was renamed Rehearsal. Another was titled Let Him In. The people around me started noticing. My girlfriend said I hum in my sleep, except it wasn't a tune she recognized. She said the hum made her teeth ache. She begged me to get help after waking up to me standing beside the bed, not moving, not blinking, just staring at the wall and whispering, "We're almost ready." I don't remember saying that. I don't remember waking up. I went back to the studio one last time, needing to prove to myself it was just in my head. But when I got there, everything was wrong. It was the middle of the day, but the hallway leading to the booth was pitch black. No power outage, just the lights refusing to turn on. I walked in with my phone flashlight, and as I passed the mixing room, I felt a wall of pressure hit my chest, like I'd walked into a sound wave. Except there was no sound. Just weight, like something enormous was holding its breath. The booth was open, empty. But there was a smell, wet wires and burnt something, like hair or meat. The mic was lowered, as if someone had just used it. And I swear for a second I heard the mic breathe. Not static, not interference. A long, slow inhale, followed by whispering right against my ear. Except no one was there. I ran. Later that night I noticed something on my phone. A playlist had been created. I didn't make it. The title was a string of characters, unreadable symbols. I clicked it, and only one song was in the list. The album art was just a black image with a faint figure in the distance. Barely visible unless you turned the brightness all the way up. I didn't hit play. I couldn't, because the description underneath the track said, "He listens through you now." I haven't slept in 2 days. When I close my eyes, I see him. Not Kanye, not anymore. The thing that was behind him. It's in my apartment now. Not always visible. Sometimes I just see its shadow past the window when I know I'm alone. Sometimes the reflection in the glass lingers a little too long after I've moved. It knows I know. I don't even know if it wants anything from me. It's not tormenting me. It's not throwing in me. Like a seed that's already sprouting. I think it used that session to find cracks in me. And now it's crawling through. And look, maybe I sound insane. Maybe I've gone too far and can't even tell what's real anymore. But I need to ask you something, because I can't be the only one who's felt this. Have you ever heard a song and felt like it was looking back at you? Like it wasn't meant for your ears, but for your soul? Did it feel familiar in a way that scared you? Because I can't stop humming it. Even when I'm silent, I feel my throat vibrate like it's singing on its own. I've smashed my speakers, factory reset my phone, thrown out every recording device I own. But somehow, the music keeps playing. In the walls, in the hum of electricity, in the silence. And I need to know something else. Is it just me? Or have you heard it too? That same chant maybe in a club, or behind a track on repeat. Something that didn't feel like sound, but a signal. Because if you have, then maybe it's already too late for both of us. And maybe that's exactly what it wanted all along. If you're still here listening, I need you to do something. Share this. Not for clout, God no, but because someone out there needs to hear this before they hit play on the wrong track. Like, comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. I used to think it was just Kanye. That night in the studio, the chanting, the voice that wasn't his, it followed me like smoke, clung to me. But I told myself it was an isolated thing, a one-time horror. I tried to bury it, lock it away in a room in my head I'd never open again. But silence doesn't stay quiet forever. The longer I kept my mouth shut, the louder the patterns got, the names, the sounds, the feelings. It started creeping in during the most ordinary moments. A Doja Cat song played at the grocery store. Normal setting, right? But the beat didn't feel like it was making you dance. It felt like it was dragging something in you. Not rhythm, gravity. like the song wasn't entertaining you, it was feeding on you. Then Billie Eilish. Her voice didn't sing to you, it whispered into you. And the lyrics, they bled with sadness, with decay, with something cold. You think it's just aesthetic. Until you catch yourself dreaming about death with that melody humming in the background. I began asking myself why so many of them started out the same. Sweet, innocent, goofy even, then the switch. Almost overnight. Fame hits and something in their eyes goes dark. The color drains. Smiles look like masks. Their videos get cryptic. Symbols flashing quick enough to miss, but slow enough to stick. Their music changes. The lyrics become confessions dressed as poetry. And the sound. It starts to feel older, like it belongs to something else entirely. I went looking. Old interviews. Strange clips. And I heard them say it. Things that made my stomach tighten. The songs just come to me. I black out on stage and something takes over. They laugh when they say it. But if you listen carefully, the laugh sounds hollow. Like even they know it's not a joke, like they've seen what I saw. Maybe worse. And it's not one or two. It's dozens, chart toppers, icons. They wrap the darkness in glitter and give it a hook. You hum along without thinking. But after a while, you feel heavier. Like the song didn't just play, it stuck. Something's left behind, and it doesn't let go. Tell me something. Have you ever felt it? That chill when a song plays, and the air around you just shifts? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just me connecting dots that don't exist. But I need to know, am I the only one feeling this? Because if I'm not, then maybe I'm not losing my mind. There was this clip, years ago. I've only seen it once, and I'm sure it's gone now. A producer was talking, casually, almost like he didn't mean to say it out loud. He said, "You don't make it big by accident. You either play the game, or you become the instrument." At the time, it didn't register. Now, it terrifies me. These artists, they're not just performing. They're channeling. Every beat, every frame, it's a ritual in disguise. A trail of breadcrumbs for the soul to follow, straight into the dark. What scares me most, the kids. They're the most open, eager, soft, and they're the ones singing along the loudest. Repeating chants they don't understand. Dancing to rhythms that aren't meant for celebration. It's like the songs are spells and concerts are sanctified ground. And the crowd, we cheer. We beg for more. I used to think hell was a place underground. But what if it's a frequency? A sound. Something that crawls through speakers and slips into your bloodstream. What if these artists aren't just stars? They're high priests of something ancient. I can't be the only one who's felt this. Honestly, have you ever listened to a song that left you feeling hollow? Not sad, not nostalgic, just empty, like a part of you was taken without asking? Let me know if that's happened to you. Because sometimes I think we've all been humming along to prayers we never meant to say. It's in me now. I can hear it all the time. A low hum beneath everything. The same sound from that night in the studio, looping again and again. Sometimes I wake up murmuring things I've never heard before. Sometimes I feel like I'm just reading lines that were already written for me. They say Lucifer was the angel of music, the most gifted of them all. And when he fell, maybe he didn't lose the gift. Maybe he just started recruiting. Maybe he found a stage, a mic, a way to keep singing through others. And if that's true, then he's not just in the studio. He's mostly like 8 out of top 10 song heading charts. So now I sit in silence. Not because I'm at peace, but because I'm afraid of what else I might hear. The hum hasn't stopped. It's always there, just beneath reality. Twisting around the sound of the wind, the buzz of street lights, the static in my headphones. It follows me from room to room, lingering in mirrors, crawling beneath door frames. Sometimes I wonder if something followed me out of that studio. Or maybe it was never just there to begin with. Maybe it's everywhere, hidden beneath fame, threaded into sound, waiting for the next voice to carry it forward. Music used to lift the soul. Now I'm not sure it's not dragging it somewhere darker. And maybe by telling you this, I've made myself a target. Maybe the chant's looking for another voice now. One that listens. One that repeats. So if you start hearing something you can't explain, turn the volume down and don't sing along. If this story shook something in you, if it made you question what's really playing behind your favorite songs, then you need to share it. Someone else needs to hear this. Like, comment, and subscribe, not just for me, but to help shine a light on the things that thrive in the dark. Because if we stop listening blindly, maybe we can finally hear the truth.